Hello! Today I'm going to be reviewing a duology. I've actually finished something relatively quickly, though it's like 5 years too late to the review, but I'm reviewing Midnight Lie and Hollow Heart, and yes, we'll get into the difference in covers there. There will be a good level of spoilers. I would say more for Hollow Heart because I just finished that today, so it's a little more fresh in my brain, but there will be spoilers for both of these. They're about 5 years old and they don't have a huge following, so I don't think that'll be much of an issue, but that's what we're gonna get into. Starting out, yes, of course, we really need to acknowledge what's going on here. This is the hardcover I have of Midnight Lie. This is the hardcover I have of Hollow Heart. I was told by my friend this is the hardcover release for Midnight Lie in the US. This is the hardcover release for Hollow Heart in the US. She said the matching covers are the opposite release for the UK. So the hardcover for Hollow Heart that would match this was the UK hardcover release for Hollow Heart, while Midnight Lie, the first book, hardcover release of this version was for the UK. So this here is what this would look like with the matching cover for this. This would be the Midnight Lie matching cover for this. So it just seems like you're not able to get the matching cover in the States, unless I'm like totally wrong, which is fine because I got it for $6 on Thrift Books. So, you know, for a hardcover, that's pretty damn good. Midnight Lie is the first book in this series, and then it's followed by Hollow Heart. It's just a duology, so it doesn't go any further than that. For the hardcover version, Midnight Lie is 356 pages, and then Hollow Heart is 296 pages. So, I don't know, about 60 pages less than the first one. You can tell it's a little smaller, and then obviously I think there would be a much bigger difference if you had the paperback in how they feel. Overall, I haven't reviewed these yet, like on Goodreads or Storygraph or anything. I've been waiting because I kind of wanted to feel them together. That way I could really understand how I feel. Midnight Lie, I would give like a 4.5. 4.5 out of 5. Followed by Hollow Heart, I would give it like a 3.5. Maybe a 3.75. Not all the way a 4, but not all the way like a 3. It's somewhere between a 3.5 and a 4. There's like drastic storytelling differences between these two books. Midnight Lie is from a single perspective the whole way through, and Hollow Heart has 3 alternating perspectives. There's some slight changes with the storytelling, but overall, I think to just get ahead of myself, the easiest way to put it is Hollow Heart felt rushed. Like, so fast. It was a very fast read. I mean, it was already 60 pages less, and about 200 pages into 296, I was like, oh, there's no way this is going to wrap up in a critical, like a way that really feels like it could. Getting ahead of myself, starting with the Midnight Lie. So I really enjoyed this. I think I saw a review, it might have been from the book Leo, a while ago, that a good portion of this in the beginning just takes place in a prison, and not everyone can get into that, but honestly, I don't care. I just love when people banter. So banter to me is like so great and fun. Again, there will be spoilers. So the basic outline, plot-wise, I would give you just a synopsis, my own version of a blurb. Niram lives in the lowest class of this walled-off civilization, essentially. They're a small island that isn't really known, like, isn't known to the rest of the world for specific reasons. And it turns out that there are gods, there's intrigue, there are demigods, and there's very, very lesbian romance. And I understand that the book says this epic LGBTQ romantic fantasy. This is a lesbian fantasy. I don't want to get it twisted. Like, it's very clear reading this that both of these characters are lesbians. I really enjoyed this. I have tabs throughout. Normally, I don't follow a color scheme. I'll highlight, and in this one I wrote in pencil, but I just tabbed what I enjoyed, and things that I found to be the most profound or like big plot points, I tab up top. Overall, this first book, it had a pretty slow start. There is a good portion where you're just like with these people. But then at some point, Niram is sent to jail and meets the love interest, spoiler again, Sid. And we don't know much about this person. There's a lot of banter. Sid is actually helping Niram when she's in prison. It's later revealed that Sid is a woman, and Niram has been she's made some assumptions about this person, and she starts to question what that means because she did find herself attracted to this person. In this world, there are people called high kith, middling, and then half kith. Kith is described as like, here it is. This series reminds me a lot of the structure of Attack on Titan. I know, I can't fucking escape that thing. But you've got the rich people, the people who are middle class, middling, who do a lot of the work for the rich, but don't have to do excess work or are punished. And then you have the half kith, who are punished for literally anything. They have to live drab, small lives with no luxuries. It's described that they can't even have like sweets or sugar. They're not allowed to wear colorful clothing or have color at all. And they're behind a wall. I assume that it's like the structure of the walls in Attack on Titan, where you have your inner wall, but flipped. So in Attack on Titan, the inner wall has the richest, including the king. And then the further out you go, kind of the more poor people become. They're closer to that last wall. In this, the half kith are essentially, I don't know if it's like this or like this, because if it's like this, they could just go around. Anyway, low-key, it's probably just like this. But they're behind this wall. They have to face tithes, so things that are going to be taken from them if they mess up. A ruling class, the high kith, oppressing the half kith, and Niram is one of those. Sid is not from this island. She is a traveler, which is not normal. And in Niram's life, she is an orphan. She has two other sisters who are orphaned, and they are raised by a woman who is a middling named Raven, but lives with them behind the wall in the ward, which is where all of the half kith live. Niram has this knack for memory and helps Raven essentially forge passports for people. And this is where one of the plots that I find the most interesting, aside from obviously this romance and the general plot of, oh my god, stop oppressing us. It's essentially a political drama with a hint of romance. I find it to be less fantastical and more mythological, but one of my favorite plots that follows throughout both of these books is about this character. His name is Aiden, so essentially he helps them, the little picture in the passport. But it's very clear that he has some sort of a relationship with Niram, and it becomes very obvious that there is a level of abuse here that Niram has to face. So I'll read you some quotes, and I just think that it's a really interesting take. I know that this author is queer. I don't know if she is a lesbian, but she's queer, so it's really nice to see this in a book of this scale. Obviously not nice because I'm about to read you something. I would say trigger warning for sexual assault or like rape by persuasion, you know what I mean, pressuring someone. But it's just so, you don't often see the thought processes of the lesbian, of the person who faces this. So he helps them and has a relationship with Niram. She feels obligated to uphold it. It's very clear that she does not like him. It's not that she knows she's gay or anything, but she does not like him, but feels an obligation, and he often pressures her, and you read him being like, come on, blah, blah. This entire book is from Niram's point of view. I'll just read you this. His hand slid down my back. I knew what he wanted, though he didn't ask for it, and it seemed like something he deserved, so I gave it to him. Though I had rinsed my face and mouth and hands, I felt coated with something sticky. Sometimes people want things so badly you feel like it's your obligation to give it. I knew that was wrong, yet I had gone to bed with Aiden anyway. A sick, worried feeling settled in my stomach. I blamed Aiden, I blamed myself, I wasn't sure who really to blame. A snake will not stay to please you, it will do nothing it does not want to do. I pity who I was then. A girl riven by her mistake, beholden to the needs of others, and trained to diminish her own. I was a snake that had not yet learned to strike. There's this very clear description of a girl who is being used by the system, whether it's also people that are oppressed like Aiden and Raven, or it's literally the people, the higher upper class who are using and abusing these people. And we discover in her time in prison and just throughout the book that these tithes, a lot of it is blood, but often they take actual body parts from these people in case someone in the upper class needs it to help them survive. They're willing to take things away from other people so the rich can survive. Like literally, they're talking like they could take your foot if someone needs to replace a foot up there. That's a big backdrop that we have for this first book. And then Sid is introduced, and she's not from this culture, she's not from this place, so she doesn't feel these obligations, she doesn't feel this pressure that Niram does with this world. And also, she seems to be of high status. So she's able to help Niram around, and she has her essentially be her handmaiden. I don't remember the word that they used, but it's just a cover so she can go with her to find what she's looking for on this land, which is magic. She hears that there's magic. All in all, come to find out, there's absolutely magic. There used to be gods, and there were demigods, and the bloodline was, you know, it was spread pretty thin after years and years, but Niram is of one of those bloodlines, and we spend this whole book knowing that she's got this power with memory, and they're discovering that the blood of these people, the half-kith, have something to do with it. It's quite literally it. The blood, it has the power of the gods. It's not magic, it's just an immortal godlike power. It's just a whole thing. There's such a level of intrigue in terms of politics, and you do get this nice backdrop of just like a lesbian romance. There's a little will they, won't they, but it very much goes for won't they. No, it very much goes for will they, and they have a really nice banter. It's really fun to see them together, and like the cliffhanger and the ending of this book, you were like, oh my god, I have to read the next one. Like the plot, it's a little slow, and then you get into it. But it doesn't matter that it's slow because you're there with Niram and Sid, and it's really fun. The book ends, and Sid has to return to where she's from, and Niram does not go with her. So we end with a breakup. And then Niram makes a deal with a god, and he takes her heart. So that leaves us right into this book. Hollow Heart essentially picks up right away. That's when we start Hollow Heart. And this book fluctuates between Sid, Niram, and a point of view called the gods. So there's 3 of them instead of just Niram. And I wouldn't say that hinders the book. I just think that it makes it harder to wrap it up so quickly in the way that it does, because we're going back and forth between everyone and switching and not seeing things and only being told, and it's quite a lot. We learn very quickly in this book that he did not take her heart, he took her compassion, and she doesn't know until the very end what it was. And she becomes the ruler of this land. There's lots of executions for those upper class people, even just the citizens, because they benefited and allowed the half-kith to be hurt. She spares children, don't you worry. But there's a clear, she is ruthless, she is violent, she is angry. I posted one of the quotes on my story a while ago because I just kept joking that it felt so Attack on Titan. Like, I'm not kidding. She says some like Eren Yeager fuck shit. Where is it? Where's your fuck shit? So in the beginning, this is on page 9, she says, "We will not return to who we were, cowardly, pathetic animals penned in a cage." Literally a main line that follows Eren from the beginning of Attack on Titan. We will never be the same any more than I will return to the person I once was. Kind, considerate Niram, so ready to put others' needs before her own. That girl is gone. What do I want? Revenge. And I literally wrote, it was giving Eren Yeager. Like, it really was. And then we've got more. We have, what use was my soft heart? It convinced me to excuse the bad behaviors of others, to let myself be used, to forgive Raven when she hurt me. The loss of my heart is no bad thing. It left room for something else. Freedom. Anger. Like, give it a rest. There's the walls. There's freedom, anger, genocide from Niram, Eren Yeager, after the time skip. And you've got the blood thing too? Like the spinal fluid? And like the royal line, don't even... Attack on Titan literally haunts me in a way that I can never escape. Let me be done with Attack on Titan. Anyway, so that's our main thing. She's getting revenge. I don't need to get into any of the details other than lots of people are dying. They're trying to conquer other lands. And during all of this, Sid is off at home on her own homeland, where at the very end of the first book, we discover that she is the daughter, the princess of the king and queen. And she's just trying to figure out why she lies to herself so much. Like straight up, that her entire plot until like page 200 is, why have I convinced myself that the people who love me hate me and that they would rather me be forced to marry a man than be gay? Which isn't totally wrong. I would say her parents were ignorant and weren't very thoughtful because they obviously knew that she didn't like men. But it's very much a self-discovery thing, which is fun and all. It's fun, but you're going back and forth between that and genocide, essentially. There is a little political intrigue with a poisoning, but it's still, it just falls to the back burner. It's something where it's hard to mesh those stories. So the main plot, instead of a whole book, like The Midnight Lie, the main plot is for Niram, we have half of this book, essentially. Like 150 pages for the main plot, and another 100 are for Sid back at home, and then another 50 is when Sid comes to find Niram. So there's just a lot of telling instead of showing. That's my main problem. She tells us so much in this book, and I wish that we could read it, like being shown what happens. A chapter from Sid's point of view will end, we'll go to whether it's the god or Niram, and then it'll go back to Sid and it'll be like, I did that thing I was going to do. And you're like, oh, well, I wish that I could have seen it. I wish that I could have read that instead of being told afterward. It's a big thing at the very end. So at this point, there's a lot going on. Sid is trying to find a way to get Niram's heart back. We've changed from Sid's point of view, where she's being given a map and essentially been told to go on this journey, and then it goes to the god. And then the god says, Sid walked free and retrieved the map from its hiding place. She took the path from the city that delved into the jungle in the heat, which made the thick greenery almost slippery with humidity. Bleep bloop bloop, like literally a sentence later, she shows up to the place. She stumbled into the clearing made thousands of human years ago. And I'm not joking, it's... At the end of this page, she's been given something to help her go there. Here, she gets there. And it's like, it doesn't even start talking about Sid until this paragraph, and she finds where she needs to go by where my thumb is. It just feels like she was supposed to have a third book and maybe the publisher didn't want her to do it. I don't know. It's so hard because I like political intrigue. I like the concept of a revenge story, and I like seeing anger. I like seeing anger from a lesbian and having it be like a real story, but it's just incomplete. The first 200 pages are pretty good. There's some really good descriptions. In the middle, Aiden is still a burden. He's still in this fucking book. She kills him, by the way. It's inevitable. But in the middle of this book, Niram is like, what do I need from men? From him. He can offer me nothing. He never could, and I am astonished that he, indeed the entire ward, made me believe for any length of time that it was expected and right that a girl belonged with a boy. It is nonsense. And you get so many of these. Like earlier, she says, Aiden is a conveniently handsome ally and boring. It's so obvious that she is a lesbian, and we have these themes of fighting back in a world that does have homophobia, but in a world that does not see your love as the correct love. But it doesn't matter because you are going to do it anyway, and you're going to change the minds of people and not be forced to do something anymore. And then and like, she's contradictory because she's forcing people out of fear to follow her. But it doesn't get to be played out all the way. It's rather frustrating to go from The Midnight Lie, which was a book that I really enjoyed. I loved finding out that they were both lesbians and that Niram overcame what had happened to her back in the ward, that Niram has overcome these pains and this obligation and being forced to do this and this, and found like a real family with Sid. And then almost the entirety of the next book, they are apart, but you don't really get a satisfying closure or ending. It becomes much more lustful, and that's fine. Like, bang, smash, have fun, like, jerk it. It needs at least 100 more pages. I would even say as soon as Sid hits land, this book ends and you have a whole third book. That way the rest of this can be fleshed out and the rest of the third book can be fleshed out for the entire climax. It was a quick downturn between these two books because there's so much care and thought. It's so interesting, the mythology that they're starting to build. And then you kind of just don't know what's going on in Hollow Heart. You're not given enough time to sit with things, or you're not given enough as a reader to understand what is happening. You're just being told stuff. I wish that I was able to find things out on my own in Hollow Heart through reading and experiencing what the characters are going through and not just reading writing. That's my big thing. I mean, together they get like just a solid 4, I guess, 4.5 and 3.5 even as a duology. Like, I still would recommend to read it. There's not a big fan base, so you can't really supplant Hollow Heart with much fan fiction or fan art, but it's a little bit of a letdown, I think, because I got so into Midnight Lie. I finished it in like 3 days, technically. So waiting and then getting Hollow Heart and then it not really living up to how much I enjoyed the first one. I mean, you can't win them all, you know. It was still good. It still had mythology, like a new created mythology. It just wasn't complete, really. There's so much more that I want to know, that I feel like I should know, so much that I feel like isn't fully explained. If you want to know, I low-key imagine Sid like a much younger Bran of Tarth. And I didn't really imagine Niram as anything until I got this book, and then I was like, okay, that's what she looks like. So she's animated, and Sid is like Gwendolyn Christie, which it doesn't make sense, and it's not very good. It's like not a very good way to picture that. I mean, you know, it's fun, it's fantasy, it's lesbian. I'll take lesbian over nothing. I'd rather les out than not. You know what I mean? Like, the lesing out was good. I was there for the relationship drama. It was just like the plot of Hollow Heart. I was like, give me the les. More les, but also more plot. Maybe les can't save everything. Oh, okay. So that was essentially a rant review of Midnight Lie and Hollow Heart. A little bit more of a rant about this one. A little bit more of just like a rundown and good fun of Midnight Lie, the first one. Again, I still would recommend people read them. Just go into it knowing that the Hollow Heart it doesn't wrap things up as well as like a Six of Crows Crooked Kingdom duology would. I think this needed to be a trilogy. That's what I got. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you enjoyed being absolutely spoiled for the whole plot of these 2 books, and will still read them if you want. Get them from a library. Get them from thrift books. Get them secondhand if possible. And let me know what quotes you enjoyed, because I really enjoyed Niram calling men boring and useless. Oh, as well as lesbian hallucination masturbation. I'm not gonna tell you about that, but that happened in the 2nd book. That's it. That's all I've got. I need to shut up because I'm gonna keep going on about it. I'm glad that I read them both. Like it, subscribe, comment. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you really liked it. That's it. I'm done. I'm like officially done talking now. I've talked too much. I've been recording for 40 minutes. That's all.